Imagine you are sitting on the veranda in the cool of the evening. Somewhere in the distance, the whistle of an old train echoes faintly. It doesn't force itself on anyone, but it still finds its way softly across meadows, trees swaying in the wind, windows ajar. Not everyone will notice the sound, but for those whose hearts are used to waiting, the subtle whistle heralds a promise. Write 888 in the comments. Now don't just be a spectator, be part of the story. With your support, we will become a giant family of 5,000 people. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join us. Because a new beginning is at the door and you are never forgotten. Imagine for a moment you're sitting on the porch as dusk settles, and somewhere out in the distance, a soft church bell chimes. The sound doesn't demand attention, but somehow it travels across miles of rolling fields, weaving through the trees and whispering through open windows. Not everyone will notice it, but for those whose hearts are tuned just right, that bell carries a promise. Change is on its way, and you haven't been forgotten. In much the same way, some souls radiate a gentle importance. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room or drawing attention with bright lights and showy gestures. Instead, it's the quiet confidence of knowing who you are when nobody is watching. There are seasons when the world seems to overlook you, when applause is in short supply and recognition never seems to come. But even in those quiet valleys, the Spirit has a way of sending signals. A gentle nudge, a whisper in your heart, that tells you there's more happening behind the scenes than you could ever see. Now, there's a reason you're feeling a stirring in your spirit today. Maybe you've sensed that something is shifting, like the first cool breeze before a summer rain. You can't always put your finger on it, but deep down you know, what once felt hidden is about to come into the light. There's a kind of admiration that's been building for you, not from the places you might expect, but from hearts that have quietly watched your journey. It's like a garden blooming after a long winter, sudden, surprising, and beautiful. Not everyone who appreciates you will stand up and announce it to the world. Sometimes, it's the folks in the background, the ones you least expected, who have been touched by your perseverance. Maybe it's a neighbor who noticed your kindness when nobody else was looking. Maybe it's a colleague who's watched you weather storms and never once saw you lose your faith or your smile. Or maybe, just maybe, it's someone who once seemed distant, even indifferent, who's now ready to step out and say, "You inspired me more than you'll ever know." Life has a way of saving its biggest surprises for the times we feel the smallest. It's almost as if God waits for the crowd to quiet down before he does his finest work. You see, favor doesn't always arrive with trumpets blaring and spotlights flashing. Sometimes it comes in the form of an unexpected word of encouragement, a door opening when you thought all hope was lost, or a friendship blossoming from the least likely connection. That's the quiet blessing of being chosen, the assurance that even if nobody else sees your value, heaven does. Legends, miracles, prophecies. Subscribe to see what history forgot. There are times in this journey where it feels like you're walking through a field after a storm, mud clinging to your shoes, wind tugging at your coat, and the sky just starting to clear. You wonder if anyone noticed how hard it was just to keep going. But the truth is, the ones who are meant to see, those divine appointments, have been watching with careful eyes. Your quiet endurance, your steadfast spirit, your refusal to give up even when the clouds wouldn't break. These things matter more than you realize. Some people are drawn to drama, to noise, to spectacle. But those with true discernment are drawn to depth, to authenticity, to a faith that doesn't falter when the winds shift. Your story, chosen one, is being read by more souls than you know. Your patience, your hope, your acts of kindness have been like seeds sown in secret, now springing up in gardens you didn't even plant. You may have thought your journey was only about survival, about making it through the night, but all along, heaven was using your walk as a signpost for others. Just as that lighthouse sends out its beam, not to impress but to guide, your steady presence has given hope to someone else who thought they were alone in the dark. You never know who has been watching your example, quietly gathering courage from your testimony. There's a lesson in the way sunlight spills through stained glass, each color, each pattern unique, yet all coming from the same source. Your particular shade of resilience, your specific note of compassion, is part of a bigger picture only God can see. The people drawn to your light may not always announce themselves, but when the time is right, they show up, bearing gifts of gratitude and new opportunities. Sometimes, your greatest fans are hidden until the moment you need their support the most. Maybe you've grown used to walking in the shadows, being the one who claps for others but rarely receives applause in return. Maybe you've wondered if all those silent sacrifices, those prayers whispered in the midnight hour, have been forgotten. But let me tell you, not a single tear, not a single act of obedience has been wasted. The seeds you've sown in faith are about to bear fruit in ways you never expected. God has been watching, and so have those He's sent to witness your journey. You see, the way you handle the quiet seasons says more about your character than any victory ever could. The world may celebrate the ones who shout the loudest, but heaven promotes the ones who keep serving when no one is watching. That's why, in this next season, the blessings coming your way won't make sense to people who only measure success by noise and numbers. But for those who understand spiritual things, it will be as clear as a sunrise after a long night. You're being lifted up because you were faithful in obscurity. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs come after the crowd has gone home. David was anointed king while still tending sheep. Joseph's promotion happened in the prison, not the palace. And your elevation, chosen one, is being prepared in the quiet, in the waiting, in the faithfulness nobody else sees. The ones who have watched you grow, who have seen you weather storms without bitterness, who have noticed your quiet kindness, are gathering now, ready to play their part in the next chapter of your life. You might be surprised by who steps forward. The person you thought didn't care, the boss who never praised you, the family member who kept their distance, any one of them could be the vessel God uses to confirm what He's already spoken over your destiny. There's a convergence happening, a weaving together of stories that only heaven could orchestrate. Suddenly, what felt like isolation is revealed as preparation, and the applause you never chased now finds you right where you are. This is not the season to doubt your worth or shrink back from the spotlight. God is shining on your path. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, not for your glory, but for His. You are being raised up as a beacon, a living reminder that grace runs deeper than disappointment and that obedience is always noticed, even if not rewarded right away. And so, when admiration arrives from an unexpected source, don't be surprised. Don't let false humility rob you of your harvest. Instead, receive it with open hands, knowing that it is a sign of God's faithfulness and a reward for your perseverance. Remember, the truest validation always comes from the one who saw you before anyone else did. The fans, the supporters, the newfound allies, they are simply confirming what heaven has known all along. You are worthy, you are chosen, you are ready. As this new chapter unfolds, carry yourself with the same humility and hope that brought you here. The porch light is on, the bell is ringing, and the night is alive with possibility. Step forward, knowing that every unseen sacrifice was a stepping stone, every silent victory a foundation. The stage may look different, but the story is still yours, and the best is yet to come. You have become the living answer to someone else's prayer, a walking testimony that patience and faithfulness are never in vain. You don't need to shout to be heard or strive to be noticed. The light in you cannot be hidden, and those meant to see it are drawing near. Let your heart be at rest, knowing that the admiration coming your way is not an accident. It's a divine appointment, timed perfectly by the one who knows the end from the beginning. Think of life like a river running quietly through a sun-dappled valley. You may only see the surface shimmering, but underneath, 1,000 invisible currents are steering every leaf, every pebble, every fish along a secret path. From above, it all looks like chance. Yet, for the one who listens, there's a pattern, a gentle guidance, a holy pull that keeps everything moving just as it should. It's not chaos. It's choreography. Every twist in that water, every reflection of the sky, is part of a bigger picture that only the Creator can see in full. That's how the spiritual journey works for the chosen ones. To the outside world, it might seem random. Doors close without warning, people drift in and out, opportunities spring up from the shadows or vanish without a trace. But what if every turn, every delay, every unlikely encounter is God's way of arranging the scenery, preparing the stage for your unique story to unfold? The world calls it coincidence, but faith knows better. There's a purpose to this dance, a plan to the pauses, a divine wisdom in every wait. Picture a potter at the wheel, turning humble clay into vessels of beauty and purpose. The shaping is slow, sometimes painful, but never without intention. In the quiet times, when nothing seems to move, that's when the hands of heaven are closest, smoothing, molding, setting you apart for something special. You don't see the design at first, but the artist always does. Many folks think blessings show up with a trumpet, in a shower of confetti, with everyone watching. But most of the greatest breakthroughs start with a whisper in the soul. You might not see it in the headlines, but deep down, you sense it, a tug on your heart, a quiet knowing that change is coming. It's like the way birds sense spring long before the snow melts. There's an inner signal, a spiritual intuition, that tells you to keep your lamp burning, to watch and wait, because something sacred is drawing near. There's a cosmic weaving to your days, a heavenly quilt being sewn from the little threads of patience, faith, and perseverance. The late-night prayers, the choices you made when no one was watching, the kindness you offered without expectation, these are stitches in that quilt, each one making your story stronger, more beautiful, more ready for the next season. The world may never applaud your quiet sacrifices, but the one who counts hairs on your head and bottles your tears never misses a single thread. Some people come into your life and disappear so quickly you barely catch their name, while others linger in the background, silent as shadows, watching your journey with quiet fascination. It can be easy to mistake their distance for disinterest, to feel overlooked or forgotten. But, beloved, what if those onlookers were sent to observe your faithfulness, to learn from your endurance, to see how a chosen one holds steady when the river runs wild? Sometimes, those silent witnesses are the very people who become the messengers of your breakthrough. Don't underestimate what God can do in the shadows. David learned to fight giants while tending sheep far from the spotlight. Ruth's faithfulness in a foreign field brought her into the lineage of kings. Esther waited in silence until the perfect moment to reveal her purpose. Your quiet seasons are never wasted, they are preparation grounds for miracles. In the grand choreography of destiny, it's the hidden rehearsals that set the stage for your greatest performance. God is working while you're waiting. He's aligning hearts, preparing helpers, moving mountains you cannot see. The right person, the right opportunity, the right open door is being prepared for you even now. And when the timing is right, when your spirit has been shaped, your gifts refined, and your heart made ready, the blessing will come together so perfectly that you'll know it was never about luck, but about love. Some days, you may feel like nothing is happening. The phone doesn't ring, the promotion doesn't come, friends are few, and answers are slow. But, precious one, remember the seed buried in the soil. For weeks, there is no sign of life. But underground, the roots are stretching, the shell is breaking, and all the while, the sun is rising toward the day of sprouting. When that first shoot breaks through, it's the result of unseen work. So too with your destiny, growth is happening beneath the surface. The people who once seemed distant, those who walked away, those who doubted, those who quietly observed, may suddenly step forward at just the right time, bringing confirmation, connection, and open doors. God often uses the least expected vessels to deliver His favor. A stranger's kindness, a forgotten friend's return, a new ally from an unlikely place. These can be the instruments of your next breakthrough. If you felt alone in your journey, if you've wondered whether your story matters, take heart. Your faithfulness is making waves far beyond what you see. The way you handle disappointment, the courage you show in uncertainty, the love you give when it's not returned, these are leaving a mark, inspiring others, and calling forth admiration from places you'd never expect. Think you've heard it all? Subscribe and let the Bible surprise you. Remember, in the heavenly economy, nothing is wasted. Not the waiting, not the weeping, not the wondering. Every act of obedience, every moment of integrity, every time you choose hope over despair is a seed sown for a harvest you cannot yet imagine. And when the pieces come together, when the curtain rises, and the story shifts, you'll recognize the fingerprint of God in every detail. There's a reason for the delay. There's a meaning in the waiting. Those unseen currents have been guiding you all along, drawing the right hearts into your orbit. The admiration, the recognition, the breakthrough you're longing for, it's being woven in real time, stitched together by divine hands. And when it finally arrives, it will fit your life like a key fits a lock, opening doors you never thought possible, blessing you in ways no human could have arranged. Don't lose heart when the pace seems slow or the audience seems thin. The choir of heaven is always singing over you. The cloud of witnesses is always cheering you on. Your worth isn't measured by applause but by the purpose planted inside you from the beginning of time. The world may not always celebrate you, but the author of your life has written you into a story of redemption, restoration, and unshakable hope. If you ever feel overlooked, remember that even in the loneliest stretches, you're never walking alone. Angels are assigned to your journey. Doors are being carved out of stone. Bridges are being built where there was only wilderness. That persistent feeling that you're meant for more? That's not ego, it's eternity calling you forward. And as you keep moving, keep hoping, keep trusting, don't be surprised when someone who's been quietly watching your faithfulness steps out of the shadows to affirm what God has already spoken. That encounter may look small at first, a smile, a word, an introduction, but it could be the seed of a harvest that will change everything. God's ways are higher. His plans are bigger. His timing is perfect. So lift up your head, chosen one. There's a dance unfolding all around you, a choreography of blessings and opportunities set in motion by the very hand that made the stars. The same one who aligned the galaxies is aligning your steps. Stay patient. Stay faithful. Keep letting your light shine, even when no one seems to notice. Because in due season, the pieces will fit, the puzzle will reveal its picture, and every chance meeting will make sense. The ones who watched from afar, the souls who seemed uninterested, were really witnesses to your strength, drawn by the quiet light of your spirit, waiting for the moment when God said, "Now." The best is still being written, and your story is far from over. Let your heart be full, your hands open, and your eyes lifted, knowing that the greatest blessings often arrive in the quiet after the storm, delivered by those you never expected, guided by a love that never loses track of its own. There's something powerful about a well that never runs dry, even in the fiercest drought. On the surface, it might look plain, a patch of ground most would walk past, not knowing there's living water hidden just beneath their feet. But the ones who have learned to dig deep, who listen for the sound of water moving far below the dust, know the secret. It's not what's on display that sustains you, but what flows quietly within. That's how it is for those souls who walk by faith and not by sight, for the ones called to the narrow road, chosen not for show, but for the wellspring inside them that refuses to quit. In a world obsessed with stage lights and quick applause, many wander from spotlight to spotlight, hoping that the brightness will warm the ache inside. They long for someone to call their name, to clap when they speak, to say, "You matter," as if the value of a person is measured by the sound in the room. But the truly chosen have a compass set by something higher, a voice that whispers, "Keep going," even when the road gets lonely and the crowds disappear. That quiet inner compass is forged in the waiting room, in the seasons where there's no one around to notice your faithfulness. When others lose heart because no one is watching, you find your strength in the secret place. You learn to walk with God in the cool of the morning, to trust His plan even when your own makes no sense, to dig deeper when the ground feels hard, and to believe in springs you can't see. The qualities that once made you feel strange, that sense of being out of place or out of sync with the world, have slowly become your secret advantage. The habits others rolled their eyes at, your careful way with words, your refusal to take shortcuts, your hunger for something real, have quietly set you apart. At times, you wondered if you were missing out. Maybe you felt foolish for standing alone, or wondered if you'd ever find your tribe. But God was preparing you, chiseling your character, so that when the right season came, you'd be ready. See, the world teaches us to build on sand, trends, approval, the fleeting opinions of people passing by. But you, through every disappointment and delay, every door that slammed shut, have been building on rock. Every time you got back up after a setback, every hour spent serving when no one said thank you, every yes whispered to God in the darkness has been a stone in the foundation beneath your feet. You didn't even know you were laying it, but now, when the winds rise and the storms come, you're still standing. That's the miracle of hidden resilience. It doesn't come overnight. It grows slow, the way tree roots push deep before the first branch ever stretches toward the sky. What felt like being overlooked was, in truth, a season of rooting. The applause may be delayed, the recognition slow to arrive, but when it comes, it won't blow you over. Because you know your source. You know your strength isn't borrowed from the cheers of others, but anchored in something eternal. And oh, beloved, the very quirks that made you different, the ones you tried to hide or outgrow, are the fingerprints of the one who made you. In the right season, they become a beacon for those with eyes to see. While the crowd chases what's popular, the discerning are searching for what's real. And when your moment comes, it's not the noise that draws them, it's the substance. It's the way you didn't fold under pressure, the way you chose honesty over convenience, the way you still showed up even after life knocked you down. Those moments of invisibility, those times you felt like you were walking in circles while others raced ahead, have become your testimony. Each silent victory, each lesson learned in the valley, is a jewel in your crown, visible not to the casual onlooker, but to those who know how to spot greatness. Heaven always sends watchers, people, angels, sometimes even strangers, who are drawn to that quiet light in you. You don't need to broadcast your story for it to matter. God has a way of bringing the right people at the right time, people who recognize what you carry. They're not fooled by flash or fazed by fashion. They've learned to spot a real diamond even in the dust. When they see the foundation you've built, stone by stone, in the hard seasons, without fanfare or applause, they'll want to stand with you, to learn from you, maybe even to open doors you never could have forced on your own. It's the miracle of divine timing. You may have spent years in preparation, thinking your moment would never come. But when the season shifts, when God turns the page, suddenly, everything you carried quietly becomes the very thing the world is searching for. People who once overlooked you begin to seek your wisdom. Those who doubted your journey start to ask for your roadmap. What was once dismissed as strange or unnecessary becomes the blueprint for breakthrough. You didn't get here by accident. Every step, every tear, every lonely mile has been counted by the one who sees in secret. He's watched you love when it was easier to close your heart, serve when you were tired, forgive when you could have held a grudge. He saw you take the slow road, resisting shortcuts that would have cost your soul. He saw you say, "Us," in the dark, holding on to hope when logic said to let go. And he's been preparing a reward not just for what you did in public, but for what you built in private. When the day comes, and it will, when the foundation you built is revealed, you'll stand taller, not because you chased greatness, but because you let greatness find you. You didn't have to advertise your worth or scramble for recognition. Your story speaks for itself. The stones beneath your feet tell a story of perseverance, faith, and quiet trust in a God who keeps his promises. Others may still be waiting for the applause, but you've learned the joy of walking with purpose even when the crowd is silent. You know the truth, the greatest accolades are given in the secret place. And the foundation you've built, invisible though it may be to many, will outlast the trends and stand firm when everything else shifts. Let this be your encouragement. Your inner compass is not a flaw but a gift. Your journey has been uniquely tailored, your resilience handcrafted, your calling shaped by hands that never make mistakes. What others called weird or weak is your signature of distinction. And when the discerning come looking for substance in a world of style, they will find you, standing strong, unshaken, and finally seen for who you really are. So keep walking, keep building, keep trusting. The road may be lonely, but it's never empty. Heaven walks with you. Every stone you lay in faith, every act of courage, every step toward authenticity is writing a legacy that outlives you. Your foundation is secure, your testimony sure, and your season of being recognized by those who matter most is just around the bend. From afar, people who seemed uninterested or unimpressed have in fact been reshaping their perspectives as they observe your journey. Some who once doubted or dismissed your presence now find themselves inspired, quietly rethinking what it means to endure and to thrive in the face of challenge. Your story, one of resolve, grace under pressure, and repeated rising, has begun to echo in places you never thought it could reach. These stories travel farther than any messenger could predict, inspiring silent transformations in others who once stood at a distance. Life has a habit of selecting unlikely messengers and secret supporters. Sometimes, the very person you thought was a casual bystander turns out to have watched you for years, quietly measuring the strength of your spirit, the integrity of your actions, and the authenticity of your heart. The evidence they gather doesn't come from loud proclamations or dramatic victories, but from the steady stream of choices you've made when no one was watching. They see your courage in stillness, your refusal to quit even when the applause fades, and your consistent investment in what is right even when shortcuts beckon. Over time, these observations break through the cynicism and skepticism that might have kept their admiration hidden. The world tries to explain greatness in terms of luck, privilege, or networking, but some forms of respect are built on a completely different ground. There's a form of leadership that transcends titles or roles, an influence born from standing tall in a storm and speaking with integrity when lesser voices would shrink. People, men and women alike, sense a gravity in someone who has been through the fire and come out with humility instead of hardness. Colleagues and acquaintances notice, often in awe, the unwavering focus and calm you bring to chaos. It's not something that can be faked. It's a quiet mastery honed through years of enduring what others might not have survived. Many are surprised to discover that their most loyal supporters were the ones they least expected, those who at first seemed remote, even critical. Over time, those individuals become so captivated by the courage and authenticity on display that they become advocates, even allies, determined to see you succeed. What began as distant curiosity grows into a deep-seated respect that compels them to act, to step forward, and to open doors you didn't even know existed. These moments, though orchestrated quietly, are nothing less than miracles in motion, divinely timed, perfectly tailored, and impossible to orchestrate by human effort alone. Growth, after all, is not measured only by visible achievements but by the invisible lessons learned in times of hardship. Every moment when quitting seemed easier but you chose to press on has become a silent credential. The naysayers, the difficult conversations, the exhausting obstacles, each has been a craftsman, refining your emotional wisdom and resilience. The world saw adversity, but heaven saw preparation. What looked like defeat was really the shaping of a vessel strong enough to carry influence, wisdom, and compassion. Connections built on authenticity cannot be manufactured. There are those who, after observing your journey, become convinced that your gifts are the missing ingredient in their own plans. You have, without knowing it, been the answer to prayers spoken in private by people seeking someone of depth, courage, and unshakable values. Your approach to conflict, your willingness to bridge divides, and your relentless hope in impossible situations have all been catalogued, not by you, but by those who need what you offer. Not every challenge has come from an adversary. Sometimes, the greatest obstacles have been invisible, strange disruptions, mysterious setbacks, an inexplicable run of complications just when clarity was most needed. But these, too, have served a higher purpose, to sharpen your focus, deepen your discernment, and force you to rely on guidance that comes from within, not from circumstances. You have been moved, sometimes painfully, out of situations and relationships that couldn't support the next chapter of your calling. Each detour was not a punishment but a redirection, a merciful correction guiding you to higher ground. Solitude, while difficult, has been the soil in which your insight has blossomed. Freed from distractions and noise, your spiritual senses have grown keen, able to detect what others overlook. You recognize opportunities that are genuine, distinguish between appearances and substance, and read the signs of timing that less attentive souls miss entirely. Your clarity, born in the quiet, has become a lantern in dark places, guiding both yourself and others. This season of preparation has not been cosmetic. The radiance others now notice is not a surface glow, but the outward sign of inner transformation. Something fundamental has shifted in your spirit, and the effect is undeniable. People feel uplifted by your presence, conversations with you linger in their hearts, and your example encourages change in those around you without effort or intent. Even the flow of abundance in your life is not a random reward, but an acknowledgement of your readiness to handle more resources, more responsibility, more impact. In times of scarcity, you remained faithful. In times of little recognition, you continued to give your best. These patterns of integrity have signaled to the universe, and to those watching, that you can be trusted with greater things. What is coming is not comfort for its own sake, but provision for the assignments you are called to fulfill. Testing has come in many forms: dry seasons, lack of recognition, work that seemed to go unnoticed. But through it all, you have refused to compromise, refused to let hardship dictate your values or your output. Others have watched and been convinced that your character, not just your talent, sets you apart. In the shadows, a new season has been quietly taking shape, built not on fleeting popularity but on the deep roots of trustworthiness and endurance. You may not have realized it, but your journey has inspired someone to step up and offer a partnership or opportunity that would have once seemed unimaginable. Their respect for your process, your persistence, and your authenticity has become the bridge between where you are and where you are called to go. This connection, synchronized through forces beyond your control, marks the beginning of a transformation greater than any previous chapter. Anxiety or restlessness in your heart is not a sign of fear, but a signal that expansion is near. Your spirit senses the approach of something unfamiliar, something that requires new levels of openness and adaptability. The old ways of doing things are dissolving to make space for what is next. Every time you chose principle over expedience, patience over instant gratification, you built the foundation for this breakthrough. You've chosen the harder path, turning down shortcuts, standing alone when others bowed to the easy way, and maintaining your values under pressure. The universe, and those with spiritual eyes, have recognized this, and your reputation for integrity has prepared the way for gifts you could never have claimed for yourself. There is a difference between temporary elevation and lasting legacy. What is being given to you now is not a fleeting boost, but a new baseline, a higher standard for your life, a new normal defined by dignity, abundance, and sustained impact. Your preparation in the shadows is about to become visible fruit for all to see. All the lessons learned, the humility gained, the compassion nurtured in secret, now have a platform. Not because you clamored for attention, but because the time is ripe. The roles and opportunities being revealed will require everything you've developed and more. You are not stepping into this alone. Every connection and resource needed has been magnetized by your unseen journey. Can you spot the lesson in every legend? Subscribe and join the search. Sometimes it takes the slow unfolding of time to reveal the brilliance of a diamond hidden in the rough. What seemed random will, in hindsight, display a breathtaking order. People who have drifted in and out of your story played essential roles, whether you realized it or not, shaping you for this moment. The challenges you overcame will show themselves to have been exacting teachers, leaving you fit for the weight of what is coming. This is the unveiling. Those who have quietly cheered you on, who have seen your worth in seasons of obscurity, are emerging to confirm what your soul has always sensed. You were created for influence that reaches far beyond the familiar. The resources, respect, and platforms aligning now are not the sum of your efforts alone, but the evidence of destiny at work. Every gift, every test, every solitary victory is being woven into a story that no one else could have lived. The world is about to witness the fruit of a lifetime's cultivation, a harvest of trust, authenticity, and courage. The page is turning, the audience is assembled. What you do next is not just for your own advancement, but for all who have waited for a sign that faith, patience, and perseverance are never wasted. Keep your heart open and your hands ready, for what is arriving exceeds even the highest hopes of seasons past. This is the hour of fulfillment, the undeniable reward for having trusted the process, honored your calling, and remained true when few understood your path. The story is no longer about survival, it's about rising to meet the destiny prepared long before your first step.